Assalamu alaikum guys. In this video we'll talk about Cloudways. Cloudways is a hosting service that allows you to deploy your application without suffering from server configurations and scaling problems and anything of these hard problems actually that you may face, especially if you are a developer and don't have any experience or at least some experience with DevOps. So in our case, for Laravel application, we will learn how to deploy it using Cloudways, right? First of all, we need to start or log in or sign up. Here, you can log in if you have an account. If don't, you can click here and register your information, and you can wait between 10 and 24 hours for approving your account. It's super easy, needs nothing to do this. Now I will log into my account and log in now here. After logging in, you will see these screens here, and by the way, you can start with free without any credit cards for 3 days, right? By the way, they provide a great new user interface, so I will switch to it here. And now let's create our first server and discover together the benefits and the great features of the Cloudways. So once I click add server here, you can select firstly the applications that you want to create for. You can create it for WordPress, you can create for WooCommerce, you can create for a custom PHP application. And here's our Laravel using version 10.11. Also, you can do it with custom PHP version if you want to use other Laravel application with different version. I will show it also. And also the support Magento with Elasticsearch. So I will click on Laravel, right? And I will select the name for our application, Laravel Boy, for example. And our server name, my first Laravel server. And here you can select the providers that you want to host your server. By default, they provided by DigitalOcean. You can also use Amazon Web Services and Google, right, with different prices, by the way, right? And now let's see. Here's I will use it for 1 GB here, and if you notice, they have two versions of 1 GB RAM or memory servers. Here, for example, this one gives you 1 GB of RAM, 25 GB of NVMe disk, right, and 1 TB for transfer and bandwidth, right? And if you notice here, they recommend 4 GB for production server. And now if you want to take your application live, and 2 or 1 GB RAMs for testing server, staging, so we can call it staging, and low traffic websites. So we can for now start with 1 GB here, and then you select the closest location to you. Because I live in Turkey, I will select Frankfurt, and it's a better solution for me, right? Now let's start our server by clicking on launch now. And after clicking launch now, our server will be ready in 7 minutes here at most. And here our server is ready. Now we have here 2 tabs, and let's open firstly our server to discover it. First of all, here for credential, we can access to our server using the browser terminal like this here, and you can select continue, no problem. And now to login, we will use this username here, copy, and password here. And now we accessed to our server. So I will see ls. Now we have an application folders here. Now we have this applications folder, and I will dive into it using applications, right? List. We have this our folder which contains our application. So I will dive into it, and inside this public HTML folder, we have our Laravel application. So I will say also cd public HTML list, and here's our Laravel folders, ls again here. And if I run PHP artisan about here, we have all of this information, our Laravel application here, Also, let's open our .env file, cat.env, and as we can see, we have the default Laravel .env variables here without any problems, right? So now we access to our Laravel application in the terminal from browser. Now let's try to access it from our terminal, which is from our machine. Now we will take it and let's add and we must enter our SSH key here, and I will name it my PC, and from my terminal in my local machine I will say SSH here key again to generate a new key, or if you have already a key we will dive into it, and I have it. By the way, it must be a public key, and then copy this key here and paste it for SSH key field. Now submit, and now our key has been added, and now let's access to it from our machine. I will say here SSH our username at our IP address and hit yes, and now we accessed to the application from our local machine without opening the extra tab in the browser. It's okay for me, by the way, and most of the time I use this SSH terminal in the browser like this here, and even I will continue from it, but it's up to you. You can use your local machine or the browser to access to your Laravel application. I will exit it for now, and let's continue discovering the features of it. So here's the monitoring for checking or showing you the RAM usage, CPU usage, and the disks, and so on. Here we consume 300 megabyte of our RAMs, and CPU usage is 12. And here's our disk is 7 gigabyte only, which is okay. For this, if it's blue, which means your application is okay. But if you have any problems, they will give you warning here for the problem if you have any problem. And now let's move to the performance, or what makes Cloudways great actually. As we can see here, all of these services is already prepared by Cloudways automatically without making anything by us. So they installed Apache, they installed Memcached for caching, they installed MySQL, and it's also running. Also New Relic for logging and monitoring your application. Also Nginx, and they prepared the caching for it, and the PHP application, PHP FPM, and we can switch to any PHP versions that we need. And this varnish is a great feature actually for caching pages that already loaded, and we will notice it in the performance of our application. And all of these applications are dedicated, or any server of you is only specified for your application, so you don't share any of your application or servers with other servers. That's a great point. Also, they also using the SSD disks, which make our application fast, and they prepared the cache systeming actually, not only using Memcached or Redis, they also enabled and configured the cache for Nginx and Redis and Varnish. Also, this is a caching service actually for making your page loading faster and faster. And now here under settings and packages, we can click on packages here. You can see from here you can switch our PHP applications without diving in any terminal. We can also switch between MariaDB versions. We can here also enabling or disabling the Elasticsearch, and for now I want to also install the Redis without getting any headache of using terminal or commands here. Now it start updating and installing Redis on our server, and now it's done. And here also this supervisor for running queues and jobs, we'll talk about it later also, and it's super easy to install and uninstall any package or service. Now let's move to security, and here's you can add the whitelist IP that can access to the server using SSH or SFTP, and also the same thing for MySQL. Here we must add our IP address here to enable us accessing the application or our application's database, right? And the vertical scaling, here's the beauty of this thing also. You can scale up your application using block storage, you can scale the storage only, or you can scale the whole server actually by moving here the range here, or to the new features or capabilities that you want, right? Here's briefly about the server. Now let's dive to our applications that we installed on our server. So you can click on applications here, and we have our applications that we named in the beginning of the video using Laravel Boy. And here's the information about our application. They provide also an application URL for accessing to our application. And here is our database name, database username, and database password. And here's the public IP of our application. So if we copy and paste it here, the website is unavailable for now. And as we can see, here is our application. We can see here login, and here's our Laravel 404 not found. They prepared it actually. And now let's change our database credentials. Here I will say nano.env, and I will change my database name with the names that they provide. The username also is the same, and here's the password of our database. You can change it, by the way, from here, but I will not change it for now, and I will change it here also. Then save and exit, and I will say PHP artisan optimize clear, right? And I will say PHP artisan migrate. There's our tables has been migrated. And here, for example, I want to install Laravel Breeze, so I will go here, Breeze, and install. By the way, as I mentioned, they prepared everything. Composer already installed, npm version already installed, node version already installed, right? So you don't need to install anything unless it was necessary. Now I will install Laravel Breeze. I ran the command again. There was a little bit problem without it. So now Laravel Breeze has been added, and then I will add PHP artisan Breeze install. I will use Blade installed. I don't need dark mode. Continue, enter, and now start adding it using npm. And then I will run migrate. We already run it. Now installed. Let's run PHP artisan or npm install here. And we will say npm run build to compile the run to end here. Now let's refresh, and now we have our authentication. Let's open here again. Here our Laravel application. Let's log in, or even we can register using our link/register here. I will say Ahmed at mail.com, password and password, and now everything works correctly. Great, right? Now let's continue discovering our application here, and we have staging management, so you can duplicate or clone your current application for testing purposes under staging, right, by clicking here. And we have also analytics and logging for our traffic, for our PHP logging, also MySQL to detect, for example, here the slow queries or the summary of our usage here, right? So now we don't have any queries to do. And here also we have a cron job, or running the schedule jobs. So you can add new cron here using this UI. You can add it here, or you are also free to add it custom in your application. So if we open a Laravel task scheduling here, and to enable our task scheduling, we need to add this line to this our cron manager. Instead of adding it from the server directly, we can add it from the UI. Actually, you can cd to our Laravel application. So I will say here BWD, and I will copy it here and then adding it here. Now it will be added easily, and we can run our schedule commands without any problem. By the way, there is a great event provided by Cloudways actually called Pivason, which will be lasts for 3 days from 17 October until 19 October, completely free, by the way, guys. And it will talk about great fields actually. So in the first day, they will talk about here, as we can see, about WordPress, about sustainable growth, and about starting environments and using AI for SEO. Then the next days is that different topics actually for CVO and also for and other topics here. And for the last days actually they talk about e-commerce and how to start it and combining these skills, e-commerce skills, with current AI here. So you can register from here, and I will leave the link in the description. Actually, it will be a great chance for learn about new things or improving your current skill if you have any relations with this current skills here. Don't forget, it will be between 17 and 19 of the current month, completely, as you can see here, free online event. So I will leave the link in the description. I will try later actually, and if I have any problem you can contact them here. They have a great support and very fast actually. And also we can deploy our application after each pushing to our GitHub or Bitbucket Super Easy actually, and I will show it in the next video with real life application. And then here is our application settings, as we can see here. So you can change the folder of our application, you can maybe rename it, you can also change the root of our application. So by default in Laravel, as we can see here, it types into public HTML in our public folder inside Laravel, because we select our Laravel application. Then it uses the index.php, and we don't need actually to add it because by default it will access and look for the index.php file, right? And also we have this user as our primary user here, which has system permissions for creating and manipulating the files and folders. You can refresh the permissions of user by clicking on reset here. And we have here the service like Varnish for loading our pages fastest. So by the way, the logic of Varnish is when page is loading for once for any user, it will be cached globally for all of other users, and it's configured by the way. So here is actually the beauty of this service. They have a great caching system, super fast, and you don't need to touch anything of this, or it is all is it actually, just so you can focus only on the development and coding, right? And also here you can track the users or visitors of your website by using the GeoIP detection based on their location, and also with the device detection, for example, to check and track your users from which device, Android or mobile, or which PC visitors come from. And here also all other services that you can working on. And also here we have a clear caching system here. So if you want to truncate all of your cache, for example, for clearing the RAM, you can click on purge and it will clear all of application cached by Redis, Memcached, Nginx, and any caching service here. And then here we can connect our Cloudways here with Cloudflare services, for example, for CDN, for image optimization, for mobile optimization, also for DDoS protection with extra here. It's actually a little bit cheap, and you can only enable it by adding your domain only or custom domain, and your domain must be registered and it will be connected easily, right? So here's quickly how can you use Cloudways for deploying your Laravel application from scratch. In this video we used a custom Laravel application that's already provided by Cloudways. In the next video, we will learn how to deploy the current Laravel application by using a real-life example. If you remember, we had already added this project to our channel called Linker, which is something cloning like a link tree. We will learn how to deploy existing Laravel application using a Cloudways in super in easy way. So if you found it useful, support me by clicking on like, share, and subscribe. See you in next video.